that took place for Monday was the opening of the Rafah border crossing from both directions. How the repercussions will be panning out in the upcoming few days and the efforts of Egypt to be alleviating the suffering of the Palestinians. We'll be having more details and we'll be shedding more light on this important topic with my guest for tonight over the phone, Dr. Monica William, the International Relations Researcher. Dr. Monica, can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening to you too. First of all, how do you see the importance of the opening of the Rafah border crossing starting from today? Maybe for almost a year it was closed from the Palestinian side.
Yes, since last May, indeed, the reopening of the Rafah crossing today represents far more than humanitarian step. It's a strategic move with a direct political, security and regional implication. Egypt's decision to impress Israel to open Rafah at this particular moment reflects a carefully approach in managing the Gaza crisis, reshaping the regional balance and indirectly constrain Israel's strategic options. In doing so, Egypt reinforced its role as a very important and regional mediator while exposing the limitation of Israeli current strategy. At the humanitarian level, the opening of Rafah is very important and try to ease the pressure caused by working conditions inside Gaza. However, from a political perspective, Egypt move try to implement one of the most important elements in the first phase of the peace agreement. And it's one of core pressure tools that Israel tries to use of military blockade as a leverage Israeli strategy over recent months, as you mentioned earlier, which is having maximum pressure on Gaza military, economically, and psychology in order to shape post-war arrangement on its own terms by facilitating the flow of aid and control moving through Rafah. Egypt tried to disrupt this equation.
Yes, Dr. Monica, speaking about the efforts of Egypt as we have seen for the past 3 years, and today more specifically we have seen the 129th aid convoy from Egypt to Gaza leaving with tons of humanitarian and medical aid to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. How do you see the efforts of Egypt in terms of helping the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip on the humanitarian and, of course, in terms of having a ceasefire and implementing its second phase of it?
Of course, the continuous assistance from Egypt reflects long-term commitment to try to prevent humanitarian collapse in Gaza and maintaining regional stability rather than reacting only to moments of a crisis. Egypt, as you say, many or approximately 70% of the aid come from Egypt, and Egypt maintains continuous humanitarian assistance despite military escalation, political deadlock, and complex security challenges in Gaza. So its sustained engagement reflects Egypt's strategy that go beyond emergency response, positioning humanitarian aid as a very important and very high priority and as a tool of regional stabilization and strategic crisis management. As also Egypt preserved its leverage with all parties involved, Palestinian factions and Israel and international actors, and of course try to always confirm on the importance of the humanitarian level or the humanitarian level in this issue, and try to signal the recognition that humanitarian collapse would reproduce long-term security risks, including uncontrolled instability along borders or a wider regional spillover effect.
Dr. Monica, and speaking about the future of the Gaza Strip, how do you see the efforts of the reconstruction for the benefit of the Palestinians there and the recovery after the aggression?
course, if we try to tackle or go through the details regarding the future of the streets, despite there is a lot of important or a lot of also challenges regarding the reconstructions and Egypt approach, or many of Arab leaders try to notice a long-standing doctrine that separates military escalation from humanitarian responsibility, and strategically Egypt tried to implement the second phase of this agreement and tried to present Gaza as entirely peace combat zone under its control. So the loss of narrative and operational dominance from Israeli effort to justify prolonged military operation or to impose security arrangements in the post-conflict phase. So the Egypt management of Rafah underscore its assistance, and it's very important, and we can say it's the first step of the implementation of the second phase and the post-war duration, if we can see.
Yes, and Doctor, moving on to the second phase and the implementation of the second phase of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, we are still seeing some violations from the Israeli occupation forces against the innocent Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. How do you see those violations, and how can they be stopped?
As you said, exactly from the day one of the peace agreement, it's a lot of current escalation, describing significant increase in daily violation, if we can see in Gaza or in West Bank. These incidents include arrest settlement expansions, house domination, restriction on movement, and frequent contribution between Israeli forces and Palestinian civilians. So that's actions undermine prospects for political stability in the region, and try to undermine the agreement or the second phase, if we try to say it specifically. Daily violation has a cumulative impact. First one is not arouse trust between comments, but also fuel cycles of resistance and resistance, and the use of these approaches highlights the desire of control, where Palestinian civilians face constant pressure while Israeli authorities consolidate strategic and territorial objectives. From a strategic perspective, the continuation of daily violation in West Bank, for instance, compromise any efforts toward peace negotiation. It challenges the credibility of international agreement and exposes the fragility of security arrangement. This action also risks drawing broader regional attention, particularly from neighboring states. So it's very important. And Egypt and Jordan, for instance, the day before, tried to play and try to confirm mediation and humanitarian support. So the second phase is very important. The state for routine violations serve both the tool of coercion or trigger for reunion instability without mechanisms to corrupt the daily process and protect civilian rights. The situation which is Israel tried to always remain volatile or with long-term consistent for both local governance and regional security.
And finally, Dr. Monica, how do you see the importance of opening the Rafah border crossing from both directions or in both directions on the humanitarian level, and specifically for the health issues, as we have seen the readiness of the Egyptian side in terms of the hospitals and the infrastructure and even the ambulances to be receiving the wounded and the injured from the Palestinian side in the Gaza Strip, and the people or the Palestinians who were treated here in the Egyptian hospitals had the opportunity for today to be returning once again to the Gaza Strip. How do you see the importance of Egypt's role in this field specifically?
As we mentioned earlier, the opening holds a critical importance for Gaza in this day, serve as a lifeline for humanitarian assistance, medical support, and reconstruction efforts. Beyond its immediate logistical function, Rafah has become a key tool for stabilizing the region and mitigate the humanitarian crisis that has intensified over 1 year minimum of broken and conflict. Medical or on a health level, Egypt and through Rafah crossing facilitates the entry of essential medical supplies, and today we tackle with a comprehensive health response which Egypt adapted, including the delivery of hundreds ambulance and the hospitals, field medical units and mobile clinics to coordinate the delivery of medical aid efficiently. This ensure rapid treatment and patient transfer, of course very important, especially during periods of the long-term conflict or population displacement. And if we try to tackle with or the infrastructure or construction materials level, also Rafah serve as the main gate for construction materials and tools necessary for rebuilding homes, schools, and public facilities damaged in previous military operations. So access to concrete, steel, and other essential building materials allow local authorities or that these are technical committee which is recently formed and international partners to carry out reconstruction projects, restore basic infrastructure and improve living conditions for civilians. This step is crucial to prevent further humanitarian collapse or to reduce the social and economic pressures that contribute to instability.
Yes, Dr. Monica William, the international relations researcher, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International.